All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Imola, race 1. Nick Sorensen and Andrew Lau have the front row. Harry Volsmere, Mike Dolling on the second row. Suleiman Khan and David Galan on the third row. Bradley Lovings, Rudolph Gunther on the fourth. Roman Berg and Mike Marshall round out the top 10. Stuart Hare starting in 11th next to Ellis Johnson at 12th. Brandon Banks in 13th. Jason Starr in 14th. David Harris and Jason Leonard round out the 16-car field here this morning. Brandon, best guess for tonight's stream is going to be 8 Eastern. And folks, don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and especially on YouTube, where this week we're releasing extra shorts every day just to keep you folks entertained. Just waiting on the last few drivers to take to the track, making final adjustments. Remember, folks, today is a doubleheader, as always, with GT3 NSS. And at the end of race 1, the top 7 will invert for the lineup for race 2. Nick Sorensen leads them around. Brandon, not sure yet. Are seeing a lot of drivers hopping in the new Porsche this season, as we saw last week. That new Porsche is really fast. We talked about it in the previous seasons. The previous Porsche definitely had a straight line speed issue. This one does not seem to have that problem. Brandon, we might play a new one, but similar. All right, here we go. Pace car dives in. They have fired. They're down and away, and the green flag flies at Imola. Nick Sorensen got a good jump on Andrew Lau as they come into that first turn. Will everybody survive? Man, they are tight coming through. Mike Dolan got shuffled back a hair. Excuse me, that was Suleiman Khan that got shuffled back a hair coming into that chicane side by side. Oh, we have got problems behind. The iceberg is in trouble. Rowenberg is around. We'll take a look at it after lap 1. Everybody coming up the hill. The top 2 nose to tail. Harry Volsmere in 3rd in the Lambo, trying to close back up. David Galan in 4th, Mike Dolling now in 5th. And Ellis Johnson already on the attack. That qualifying run for Ellis had him starting in 12th. He's already up to 9th. And if last week's performance tells us anything, he'll be up into the podium positions quick. Sorensen continues to lead as they come out of the final turn down the front straightaway. And Nick Sorensen is going to lead lap 1. Let's take a quick look at the incidents with Roman Berg on lap 1. Alright, Roman clipped the grass coming in the chicane, gets bumped around, and ends up out in the fence. See if the chopper can see through the trees here. There he is next to Mike Marshall. Just a lot of contact coming through that first chicane. He ends up in the tire wall. Sorensen continues to lead with Andrew Lau right there, and Harry Volsmere back up, as well as Gallant. The top 4 all right there together. Mike Dawling, Suleiman Khan, 5th and 6th. Bradley Lovings in 7th. Bradley was fast last week in the Lambo, but had some bad luck. Today could be a big day for him if he can stay out of trouble. Rudolph Gunther was one of the fastest in practice. He sits back in 8th. Definitely going to be keeping an eye on him, though. Rudolph did set the fastest lap last time by. Stuart Hare back in 9th. Ellis Johnson back to 10th. Mike Marshall in 11th, Jason Starr in 12th, Brandon Banks in 13th, David Harris 14th, Jason Leonard in 15th, Roman Berg back to 16th after the early incident. We are missing Adam Barker this morning, second week in a row. My understanding is Adam is extremely busy. They do have a couple weeks of drops, so hopefully we'll see Adam back on track in the coming weeks. The 9-time champ has been looking for his 10th title, as Bradley Lovings and Ellis Johnson have had a problem. All right, there's Bradley Lovings. He comes to the top of the hill. The car just breaks loose on him. Goes through the dirt, but does recover it. Then Ellis Johnson, same turn. Just loses the back end, spins it around into the dirt. But does barely keep it out of the wall. Harry Volsmere back in 3rd, set the fastest lap last time by. These cooler track temperatures so far this season have definitely raised the speeds. Ellis Johnson, after his incident, has dropped back to 15th. We'll see if he can charge his way back toward the front. Whoa! Lau has a bobble coming out of the turn. Sorensen gets away. Now Harry looking to make a move on Lau. Oh no, Lau's around. And Bradley Lovings has also had another incident. Bradley Lovings coming up the hill once again. Into that chicane, too much of the rumble strips. He does manage to save the car there. Down into the final couple of turns. All right, there's Lovings back at the top of the hill. Just too much of the rumble strips. He goes around. And Andrew Lau and Harry Volsmere were battling. Harry gets a run to the inside, gets into Lau and sends him into the dirt. And that chain of events has allowed Sorensen to pull out to the lead. He also set the fastest lap last time by. Andrew Lau has slipped back into sixth. And Harry Volsmere has gone to pit road. Meanwhile, Nick Sorensen now has a 5.8 second lead on David Gallant. Mike Dolling now up into third. Suleiman Khan in fourth. Rudolph Gunther in fifth. Ellis Johnson trying to make up some ground from his early incident. Ellis currently in 14th, but on the attack. Make that 12th for Ellis. One mistake by Jason Leonard. He drops back to 15th. And Harry Volsmere is out of the race. Not sure if we will see Harry back for race 2. David Gallant and Mike Dolling have had an incident. They were battling for second place. Oh! Gallant gets too much of the rumble strips. Several of them go through the dirt. Wow. Several close calls. Looking down from the chopper at this incident. Gallant to the inside, just bounces off that rumble strip. Dolling takes a big hit. Gallant gets the car turned around, gets into Dolling. Whoa! Bradley Lovings had nowhere to go. Mike Dolling, Bradley Lovings are both now to pit road. Looks like David Harris, David Gallant have both taken it in as well. And that is shaking the entire field up. Andrew Lau now in second, 9.7 seconds behind Nick Sorensen. Suleiman Khan now up into third. Stuart Hare in fourth, Mike Marshall in fifth. Jason Starr now moves up into sixth, and at the moment is the biggest mover up 8 spots. Brandon Banks currently in 7th. Roman Berg up to 8th. Just proving you can't slow down the lettuce. Rudolph Gunther in 9th. Jason Leonard in 10th. Ellis Johnson up into 11th. David Gallant back on track in 12th. Dave Harris back on track in 13th. And talk about a shakeup. Nick Sorensen now just out for a Sunday cruise, and Jason Starr is having connection problems. Andrew Lau in second is gaining ground on Sorensen, but he's 8.7 seconds back. With 7 minutes to go, he's going to have to hammer down to get there. Suleiman Khan still close as well. Stuart Hare now up into 4th. Mike Marshall in 5th. Roman Berg back in 8th is closing in on Brandon Banks. Rudolph Gunther is right there with him. At the moment, Rudolph's still one of the fastest cars on track. Nick Sorensen's lead continuing to shrink. Lau just 8.1 seconds back. Just over 5.5 minutes out. Lau is not gaining enough. Suleiman about 1.4 seconds behind Lau. He is also gaining ground, as Rudolph Gunther has just taken 8 from Roman. Jason Leonard up 6 spots now into 10th. Ellis Johnson back in 11th. Brandon Banks currently holds 7th. If he can hold on to it, he will start race 2 from the pole. But Rudolph Gunther and Roman Berg are both there. Oh, Rudolph has a run. Brandon had a little bobble coming out of the turn. Now Rudolph Gunther to 7th. Nick Sorensen's lead still holding about 8.1 seconds. Jason Starr in 6th, still the biggest mover of the morning. Not the fastest on track, but definitely has had the best wreck avoidance and consistency. Roman Berg now moves into 8th, but overshoots. Nick Sorensen's lead holds at 8.1. Suleiman Khan now 2.3 seconds behind Lau. Lau is pulling away from him, but he is no longer gaining ground on Nick. Rudolph Gunther in 7th is closing the gap on Jason Starr. Roman Berg has reclaimed 8th place for the moment. And Nick Sorensen out front, now 8.25 seconds, is the lead. Bradley Lovings has gone to pit road unexpectedly. I didn't see any damage on the car. Yes, there is some. And Barney the flagman waves the white flag one more time around for Nick Sorensen. Nick has been on fire this season. So far, he won race 2 last week in Miami. Finished 3rd in race 1. He is definitely having a great start to this season. Interesting note, the season is split up where those folks below a 2,000 iRating or the amateur division and above is the pro division. Sorensen is leading the pro division. Ellis Johnson, after last week's run, is currently leading the amateur division. And Ellis is back up into 10th. But I look for Ellis to be more in the fight in race 2. And here he comes. Nick Sorensen will get it done and win race 1 at Imola. Andrew Lau holds on to it and comes home in 2nd. Stuart Hare finishes in 3rd. Mike Marshall ends up coming home in 4th. Suleiman Khan takes home 5th. And let's get a word with our top 3, folks. Don't forget, they will have 5 minutes for warm-up and be back out for race 2. The top 7 will invert. Roman Berg will have the pole for race 2. I don't believe we have Stewart available. So we will start with Andrew Lau, who finished 2nd. Andrew, a very impressive run this morning, especially considering you're driving a Ford.
Well, the Ford knows where it belongs, on the podium.
In the garage.
Well, it's on the podium right now, Doug, so...
It was an impressive run. Obviously, a lot of chaos there in the early going.
Yeah, I still gotta figure out what happened between me and Harry. I think he just kind of sent it in, but maybe also turned in on him. Either way, that wasn't really the main chaos of the race now. I'm not sure what happened between all those guys in front, but we were able to just sneak on by all of them and get back right up to P2 again.
That big event ahead of you was certainly a close call. I believe you were one of the guys that had to go through the dirt just to avoid it.
Yeah, I was just kind of dipping and dodging every which way I could just to not hit anything and try to keep the car safe.
Well, you definitely pulled off the dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge and got it done, man. A great run this morning.
Yep, thank you, Doug.
And our winner, Nick Sorensen. Nick, you start this week where you ended last week in victory lane.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
You were pretty much untouchable that whole race. I think there was some battling behind you, but after lap 2, you had about a 2-second lead, and when the chaos popped off, it got even bigger and just kept growing.
Yeah, I was able to get the pole there and then hold off Andrew Lau for a little bit. He was pretty quick too, and yeah, there was some action behind. I was able to get a nice comfort zone there and just kept it steady.
Well, it was definitely a heck of a run, and I have to ask, the new Porsche this season, we've always talked about it, it suffered straight lines. The old one suffered with straight line speed. Does not seem to be the case with this car.
No, it seems to be all right. It's just a comfortable car for me right now, and getting on well.
Oh man, great job. Another great win. Good luck in race 2, buddy.
All right, thanks, Doug.
Well, Nick Sorensen is definitely going to hold on to the points lead, as of right now anyway, but the points double going into race 2. And everybody about to have their hands full. And folks, don't forget, if you have a favorite driver in the field, don't forget to drop into the comments. Let us know who you're cheering for. Some of these drivers do listen in and love to know their fans are in the stands. Now, race 2, they will have to worry about a fuel stop. Unlikely with the track temp this morning, unlikely to see anybody, at least in the front half of the field, change tires this morning. The track temp is actually going down. It's now down to 68 degrees. Air temperature holding at 66. Track time just before 4 p.m. The track likely to cool even more in race 2. Well, looks like Ellis had a problem a moment ago. Ellis trying to get a little more practice in here. Just a little too much power. Backs it into the wall. All right, folks. Warm-up rather, coming to a close. Buckle up, it's time for race 2 at Imola. All right, folks, here we go. Race 2. The Iceberg Lettuce and Rudolph Gunther have the front row. Suleiman Khan, Mike Marshall in the second row. Stuart Hare, Andrew Lau in the third row. Nick Sorensen, Jason Starr in the fourth. Brandon Banks, Ellis Johnson rounding out the top 10. Jason Leonard starting in 11 next to David Galan in 12th. Dave Harris, Bradley Lovings 13th and 14th. Mike Doling and Harry Volsmere round out the field. Drivers making last-minute setup adjustments, topping off on fuel. And it looks like Harry Volsmere will not take the grid. All right, Roman Berg leads them down the hill. It is getting a bit cloudy over Imola. I don't believe we're expecting rain today. But man, that would make things even more exciting. And I guarantee you there would be some tire changes. NSS hasn't had a rain race in quite a while. Would be fun to see another one. All right, as soon as the pace car hits pit road, Roman will be in control of the start. Pace car dives in. Here we go. Roman fires there away. And the green flag flies at Imola. Oh, we've got a black flag off the start for David Gallant. Tal, we wish you were here too, buddy. Few cars going a little bit wide here. A lot of battling going on. And it looks like Mike Doling also has a black flag. Stuart Hare is off track. Roman Berg overshoots. Rudolph Gunther takes the lead. A lot of battling back behind. Does appear the black flags have been cleared. David Gallant on the move up to 6th. Make that 5th. Oh, we've got Sorensen around. No, I'm sorry. Lau is around. A race 2 start has been Wilder. Lau is going to pit road. And Rudolph Gunther leads lap 1. As 3rd, 4th, and 5th all battling it out. Mike Marshall has 3rd as they go into the first chicane. And let's take a look at those lap 1 incidents. All right, we saw Stewart off track. Took the turn wide, just snaps out. And Roman Berg, who was up front at the start, just sent it too deep into the turn. Rudolph able to capitalize. And Andrew Lau coming through that chicane, just on the power a little too much. The back end steps out and backs it into the fence. Definitely a wild first lap. Suleiman Khan and Nick Sorensen have had a problem behind. All right, there's Suleiman Khan. Oh, Nick Sorensen goes around ahead. Looking down at this from the chopper. Sorensen sends it in, gets a little bit of a tap. Suleiman has to check up, and wow. Rudolph Gunther still in the lead. Hey, good morning, Amy. Amy, you should stop listening to Quack. It's going great this morning, Amy. How are you? Bradley Lovings has been on the march since the start of this, has avoided a lot of chaos up 10 spots into 4th. Mike Dolling up 9 spots into 6th. David Gallant up 9 spots into 3rd and is going for 2nd. Gallant on the march, he takes 2nd. And David a little flash of the light for the fans as he moves into 2nd. He does have the fastest lap. Amy, definitely don't do that. I gotta agree with Tal. What game is frustrating you today? David Gallant, at the moment, the fastest car on track, 1.7 seconds behind the leader and closing. Ellis Johnson now up into 7th. Mike Dolling in 6th. Suleiman caught up to 5th. Bradley Lovings at 4th has a slowdown he's trying to burn off. Nick Sorensen won race 1, started race 2, and oh, Ellis is around. Sorensen started race 2 in 7th, involved in that early incident. Now back in 9th, trying to fight his way forward. Let's see what happened with Ellis. Lau is coming out of that final turn. Looked like he may have cut into the grass and ends up facing the wrong way. Rudolph Gunther's lead has evaporated completely. David Gallant has caught him. Roman Berg back in third, about 3.4 seconds back. If these two start battling, Roman may have a shot at closing back in. Ellis Johnson did take it to pit road, got repairs. He is back out, but he has slipped back to 14th. Gallant trying to get the run into the chicane, didn't have enough. But he is right on Rudolph's bumper still. Ball peeks to the inside. Wow. Gallant takes the lead with a power move. That was one of those, he just sent it in there and hoped it stuck, and it did. Roman Berg in third is closing in on Rudolph. And let's take another look at that pass for the lead. Looking down from the chopper, Gallant back behind, just dives it in there. Rudolph checks it up just a hair. Gallant powers out. Bradley Loving's now 10 spots into fourth. He is actually closing the gap on Roman Berg as well. In fact, last time by, Bradley was the fastest car on track. Mike Dolling now at 9 spots into 6, trying to close in on 5th place Sula McCollum. Nick Sorensen has made his way back to 7. But he has got a lot of ground to make up this morning. He's about 15 seconds out of the lead. Jason Starr in 8th. Mike Marshall in 9th, battling with Brandon Banks. Brandon has a better run out of the turn. Can he make it work? Couldn't get it coming up the hill. Mike a little bit wide coming out of the turn, does keep it out of the dirt. That is bringing Jason Leonard close. Oh! Jason drifts it through. Almost at a perfect drift. Taking a look at Jason's drift from the chopper. He snaps loose. Looked like he almost had it saved, but that transition off the track sent him around. Nick Sorensen set the fastest lap last time by. 141.20. Jason Starr, Mike Marshall, and Brandon Banks all still nose to tail. 8th, 9th, and 10th at the moment. Well, you can definitely tell that Porsche carries more momentum through the turn with that tighter turn. Suleiman Kahn now on the bumper of Rudolph Gunther. And Mike Dolan closing in on both of them. Meanwhile, David Gallant out front has opened up a 7.8 second lead. In fact, David Gallant's lead as he set the fastest lap. Gallant's lead is currently the same as everybody from 2nd to 7th place. And speaking of 7th, Nick Sorensen continues to march. Gallant set a 141.19, Nick 141.16. The track temp now down to 67 is helping. These lap times coming down. And Bradley Lovings has taken 3rd. He is on the back bumper of Roman Berg. Interesting battle here. Ferrari versus Lambo. It's like being back in the 80s. Now, these are definitely some fast lap times, and they're getting faster as here goes Bradley for 2nd. A battle into the first chicane. Lovings pulls ahead as Jason Leonard has had a problem. There's Jason Leonard coming up. And not the first time we have seen that corner cut. He hits the sausage and goes around. He did get it recovered quickly, but did lose a lot of momentum. Nick Sorensen just laid down a 141.14. As I said, lap times getting faster. Sorensen is the fastest car on track in 7th. He is still 15 seconds out of the lead, but just 2 seconds behind Mike Dolan. Suleiman went a bit wide, Dolan now to 5th. Mike up 10 spots into 5th. David Gallant up 11 spots into the lead, but Bradley Lovings up 12 spots into 2nd. as David Gallant just broke the 141 mark, 140.97. A very impressive lap for David, considering they're 10 laps into this race. So tire wear's becoming an issue. Sorensen has had a problem behind. There's Nick. He had closed in on 6th. Was running down the whole field, but wow, too much power out of the turn. Sends him around and may have ended his charge. Gallant's lead almost 10 seconds. He has just got to be careful from here. He continues to pull away from Bradley Lovings as we've got a battle for third. Rudolph Gunther to the inside on Roman. And Rudolph reclaims third. Mike Dalling in 5th is closing in on Roman and Rudolph at the moment. Suleiman in 6th, still not far behind. But wow, that incident a moment ago for Sorensen, he is now 15 seconds behind Suleiman. Jason Starr still holds on to 8th. Mike Marshall, Brandon Banks, 9th and 10th. All three of them still there. Stuart Hare, 3.5 seconds back in 11th, but Stuart is closing in. Dave Harris back in 12th. Jason Leonard in 13th. Ellis Johnson in 14th. And Ellis just about to lose a lap as Gallant is right behind him. Gallant's lead now 10.4 seconds over Lovings. And Sorensen is in for his stop. With the problems he has had, will he take tires? Looks like it'll be fuel only for Sorensen. Ellis looks like he is fighting to hold on to the lead lap, but Gallant has the... Whoa! That was spicy. Rudolph Gunther in 3rd, Roman Berg in 4th, Mike Dalling in 5th has caught him. Suleiman back behind by about 3.25 seconds, but he is gaining on that fight as well. Jason Starr has put a little bit of breathing room between him and Mike Marshall for the moment. And that incident with the lap car has cost Gallant dearly. His lead went from over 10 seconds to just 7.3 seconds ahead of Bradley Lovings, and Lovings is reeling him in. Suleiman Khan is in for his stop. Folks, don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up, including, while a lot of leagues are off for the next week or so, a bunch of surprise new streams, some old favorites, and a lot of YouTube shorts. Also, don't forget to tune in Monday night, 7 Eastern, on Motorsports Presents their 5th annual 3 Hours of Daytona. And as we mentioned during pre-race, a lot of folks from this race will be there. Mike Marshall has picked up a black flag. And I'm not sure what. Not quite sure what Mike's black flag is for. We saw some very odd black flags right off the start of the race. And wow, Jason Starr, Mike Marshall, Stuart Hare dive to pit road together. And Tal, if you want to race Daytona, the info is in the Discord. David Gallant continuing to extend that run. Looks like Bradley Lovings also staying out. Rudolph Gunther, Mike Dolling continue to go as well. After his stop, Suleiman Khan back into 8th. But it looks like Suleiman may have taken a couple of tires. Nick Sorensen in 9th, right on his bumper. And Brandon Banks is coming in. Let's see if Brandon chooses to take tires on this stop. Hits his stall. He is up for tires. Dave Harris also coming in, as well as Mike Marshall again. Dave Harris is taking tires. Definitely surprised to see how many drivers are taking tires this morning. Does not look like Mike Marshall will be. And the leaders continue to stay out. And David Gallant's lead continues to shrink. Bradley Lovings now less than 5.5 seconds back. Mike Doling now into third, Rudolph fourth, and Roman Berg in fifth. The top five, the only ones that have not been to pit road yet. Nick Sorensen still right there with Suleiman. Suleiman Cohen's first race last week. Man, he was fast and looking fast again this morning. Bradley Loving sits in second, is still closing the gap as Dave Harris, Jason Leonard, and Mike Marshall have all had problems behind. See what happened with that. Looks like a big checkup. All right, there's Dave coming up the hill. Just loses it under braking through the dirt. He does keep it out of the wall. Then back behind Jason Leonard. And Mike Marshall also having a problem up top. Looked like under braking, the car just got wobbly. David Gallant has completed his pit stop. Looks like fuel only for Gallant. Bradley Lovings now has the lead. Mike Doling to second. Both drivers still have to complete their fuel stop. Less than 20 minutes to go, and once these pit stops are completed, we'll see how things shake out. But Bradley Lovings has been on the march, and he is coming in. He had a couple of laps of clean air. Did he gain some ground on Gallant? No tires for Lovings. Mike Doling did stay out. He claims the lead. David Gallant comes out of the final turn. Bradley Lovings is rolling. This is going to be close. Lovings on his way out. Gallant goes by. And I think Lovings just gained a bit of time. His pit stop was 2 seconds faster than Gallant's. He's now just 1.4 seconds behind. Mike Doling has the lead, but still has to make that stop. Mike Doling is slow. Something is going wrong. On board with Mike Doling. I think he ran too far. It appears Mike Doling is out of fuel. He's coming in. Mike Marshall following him in. And Marshall is pushing him down pit. No, he does not. Thought he was. I think Mike Marshall came in just to make sure Doling made his pit stall. That is great sportsmanship right there. David Gallant still has the lead, but only by a second. Rudolph Gunther sits in third, Roman Berg in fourth, Nick Sorensen in fifth. Mike Doling is on his way back out. And you gotta hand it to Mike Marshall. Talk about some awesome sportsmanship. Mike had been gaining some ground back over the last couple laps since his pit stop, but pulled onto pit road to make sure Mike Doling could get there. Jason Leonard has had a problem behind. Oh, the chicane strikes again, this time on entry. Back in just steps out. Mike Doling, after running out of fuel, now back in eighth. David Gallant has a 1.5 second lead, but now Lovings has cleared the lap car and is starting to close back in on the leader. Oh no, Lovings is around! And all that ground he had made up on Gallant is gone. There's Lovings. We saw how hard he was charging, closing the gap, but on the power just spins out. Goes through the dirt, gets it back on track, but lost all the time he gained. And now David Gallant has an 11-second lead. Loving still holding on to second. Rudolph Gunther in third. Roman Berg in fourth. Nick Sorensen is now up to fifth. And he is closing in on Roman. Suleiman Collin currently in sixth. Mike Doling in seventh. Stuart Hare in eighth. Jason Starr in ninth. Brandon Banks holds on to 10th. Dave Harris in 11th. Ellis Johnson in 12th. right there with him. Jason Leonard in 13th, Mike Marshall in 14th. Ellis sits right on Dave's back bumper. They had swapped positions a few times. And they did it again. Ellis takes 11th. Ellis is coming in. That was unexpected. David Gallant out front now, an 11.1 second lead over Bradley Lovings. Meanwhile, Nick Sorensen 3.1 seconds back from Roman. Despite that early incident, Nick is still marching forward. Roman Berg having a heck of a run this morning. Currently runs in 4th. Apparently the Iceberg lettuce car really paying off. Nick Sorensen continues to charge. Now just 2.5 seconds behind Roman. Suleiman just 2.3 seconds behind him. David Gallant's lead holding about 11.1 seconds. Lovings isn't running him down anymore, but he's not getting away at the moment. Mike Dalling now in 7th. Up 8 spots, still lost a lot of ground, running out of fuel. You have to wonder, how much further ahead would he have been? Nick Sorensen less than 1.5 seconds now behind Roman. Nick about 25 seconds out of the lead. No chance of pulling off the sweep this morning. But you never know, he may still be able to pull off a podium. Hey, good morning, UK Superstar. Ellis Johnson has had a problem back behind. There's Ellis as he comes. Oh, he cut it too much. And when the car landed, it just completely unsettled. And Mike Marshall has had a problem. There's Mike coming down the front stretch. He just pulls over. Gallant's lead 11.7 seconds as Nick Sorensen is now taking fourth. Roman Berg had a problem allowing Nick to get that position. Let's see what happened. Roman comes through the chicane on the power. Same thing we have seen several times this morning. Nick Sorensen now in fourth, about 9.3 seconds behind third place Rudolph Gunther. Bradley Loving still holding on to second, about 11.5 seconds behind Gallant. David Gallant started back in 12th, made his way all the way to the lead. Bradley Loving started in 14th, made his way to second. And Mike Dolling now 9 spots into 6th. And Roman Berg has picked up a black flag. Likely incident point related. And Roman Berg is giving up 7th. He is coming in. Stuart Hare now in 8th. Jason Starr in 9th. Brandon Banks in 10th. Stuart likely to take 7th. Roman Berg is on his way back out in 8th. Just a couple more laps to go, and David Gallant will get his first win of the season. Bradley Lovings, despite his problem earlier, still holds on to second. Rudolph Gunther sitting in third. And where is the rest of Team Gunther? It has been a while since we have had all of Team Gunther on track together. Hopefully, they're all back soon. David Gallant is pulling away from Bradley now. Nick Sorensen is closing in on Rudolph, now only 7.3 seconds back, but it's unlikely he'll have the time to get there. Hey, Chrono, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, buddy. The white flag is flying. One more time around for Gallant. Sorensen now just 6.5 seconds back in fourth. But on the last lap, I don't think he can make it up. Gallant will have a little bit of lap traffic to deal with. Unlikely to cause any problems. David Gallant will get it done. He will win race 2 at Imola. Bradley Lovings holds on to come home in second. And Rudolph Gunther pulls off third. And let's see if we can talk to our top three, starting with Rudolph. Rudolph, if we can't have all the Gunthers, at least we get the best one.
Oh, you get the Opa.
You get the Opa. Man, a heck of a run this morning. That car is looking awfully fast.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was fun driving, even I don't like this track really. But it was really fun driving. It was very stable. The setup was good. I made some little mistakes, which cost me probably one position, but that's okay. Bradley drove very, very good. He was very quick, and all in all, I'm happy with this third place.
Well, man, a great job and a great finish, buddy. Congrats.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you.
It doesn't look like we have Bradley Lovings available. He came home in second, but we do have our winner, David Gallant. David, congratulations. Your first win of the season.
Woohoo! Pretty easy through the slow pack.
Man, you say easy. You started back in 12th, avoided a ton of chaos, and then checked out.
Yep. Just see you later.
Man, it was a heck of a run this morning. How worried were you after pit stops when Bradley was coming?
Yeah, actually, he was probably my only worry.
Well, it turns out it all went in your favor, man. A heck of a run and a heck of a win. Congratulations, bud.
Thanks, Doug.
Folks, that was a wild and eventful race. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. We've got a lot of great stuff coming this week, including a lot of YouTube shorts. And we will have this race on YouTube in 4K later this afternoon. Make sure you go check it out. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope y'all had as much fun as we did. We'll see you tonight. Have a good one, y'all.